Vietnam has appointed a new president. 67-year-old military general Luong Coung is the fourth president in just the last 3 years. This follows an unprecedented period of political turbulence. CNA's Dong tells us more.
Tôi, Luong Coung, Chủ tịch nước Cộng hòa xã hội chủ nghĩa Việt Nam, xin tuyên thệ tuyệt đối trung thành với Tổ quốc, với nhân dân, với hiến pháp nước Cộng hòa xã hội chủ nghĩa Việt Nam, nỗ lực phấn đấu, hoàn thành tốt nhiệm vụ được Đảng, Nhà nước và nhân dân giao phó.
Mr. Luong Coung sworn in as Vietnam's new president as the country's parliament met. Before the promotion, he was the secretary of the party's Central Committee, the fourth highest position in the hierarchy of Vietnam's governing Communist Party. The 67-year-old is a military general who was at the pinnacle of the military's politics before his rise among the ranks of the governing elite. And observers expect his appointment to usher in a new period before the party's all-important Congress in 2026.
So I think with the elevation of General Luong Coung, Vietnamese politics will move to a relatively stable period in anticipation of the party Congress in 2026. And this is, I think, is a signal that the political system will revert to the principle of collective leadership instead of consolidating more power for General Secretary To Lam.
Before Mr. Coung, Party Chief To Lam was the country's president, taking on a dual role for 5 months.
I think he was a really good president. He traveled a lot and he gave a lot of commitments and promises to the business communities, to foreign investors. He shows his credibility as a good leader in the position of the president of Vietnam.
Mr. Lam will remain as party chief, a position regarded as the most influential among the 4 pillars of Vietnam's power-sharing leadership, comprising also of the Prime Minister and head of parliament. In the past few years, Vietnam's politics has gone through unprecedented changes amid an anti-corruption campaign and power infighting. The uncertainty intensified following the death of the former party chief Nguyễn Phú Trọng earlier this year, and the rise of Mr. To Lam, formerly the police chief at the Ministry of Public Security.
With the promotion of Luong Coung as the president of Vietnam, now we have 3 out of the 4 pillars are police or military generals. So that also signals a really, strong rise of strong men in Vietnamese politics. And I think that would not be a good, long-term vision of Vietnam's development, which we would prefer to have more technocratic and more, I would say, civilian way of leadership instead of having more strong men in the top echelon of the political leader.
With Mr. Coung taking over as president, Vietnam is set to usher in changes in other positions, including his former role as secretary for the party's Central Committee.
Looking ahead, I think there would be a lot of things for us to look at the political dynamics of Vietnam ahead of the 2026. At least if we look at the composition of the Politburo now, we have 15 Politburo members, but 2/3 of those members are from the police and from the military. And I think that would not really sound very positive even for To Lam, although he is a police general. I think he wants to have more reform-minded, Politburo members and new wing of younger generations in the Central Committee and in the Politburo for 2026. So I think that's a very important area that we have to look at.
At the parliament session today, the party's top leadership vowed to carry out institutional reforms and seize economic growth for the country. Vietnam's parliament will sit for about a month to discuss laws and policies to further boost economic growth, including steps to improve Vietnam's energy structure and a high-speed railway. And the business community is hoping economic decisions that have been delayed for years due to political uncertainties will now be sped up. Tùng Ngô, CNA, Hà Nội.